Um, so, 2 or 3 years ago, I used to believe that charisma was something you were born with. You know the type of people I'm talking about? They, oh my god, they just walk into a room and people listen. They start speaking and everybody pays attention. Meanwhile, I was like, they made friends effortlessly while I was studying them like a science experiment, wondering what secrets they knew that I didn't. And for years, I thought the answer was simple. They had charisma, I didn't, but I was wrong, for God's sake. Here's the good news. Charisma can be learned and developed, just like any other communication skill. In simplest words, charisma is a good balance of warmth, how kind, trustworthy, and friendly you are, and competence, how easy you are to be relied on, and your capacity, intelligence, and skills. And as shown in the graph, you can see that charisma zone in the graph is involved in warmth, high level of warmth and competence. So you need to dial up those two factors. Now, so you and I can show that charisma through cues of 4 kinds. First off, we've got non-verbal cues, and that means all the body language, facial expression, and gestures. And the second one is verbal cues, which I think are so important in a way you might not expect at first. The verbal cues are basically the choice of verb you speak, and there's actually one amazing experiment done to highlight the influence of verbal cues on people's behavior. So basically, researchers divided people into 2 groups, and one group was told they would play a Wall Street game, and the other group was told they would play the so-called community game. Here was the trick. So, they actually played the exact same game, but the name was different. And surprisingly enough, the results were dramatically different despite the fact that they both played the identical game. The group that was told they would play community game performed twice as well as a Wall Street game group. And they cooperated more. But why? So, the word community in the community game name made actually the team feel more like a team and encouraged them to help one another and to think about teamwork and cooperation, while Wall Street game mainly encouraged a competitive mindset. That's why they didn't succeed at all. And we've got vocal cues as the third one. Vocal cues are the tone of your voice, volume, and pitch. And the last one is imagery cues. Imagery cues is the color you wear, the accessories, and how you arrange your work spot and that stuff. So, if people think you are very smart, you've got great ideas, but they know they can rely on you, but they feel intimidated being around you because you are a bit cold, hard to reach out. That's the moment when you will definitely need 5 cues for warmth. As you can see, first one is the authentic smile. Authentic smile is very warm if authentic. I repeat, if authentic. Please avoid forced ones, because people are so great at distinguishing between the real smile and the forced one. And trust me, fake smile makes everything worse. And second one is triple nod, which is like this. Means like you're approving, you're understanding. That shows empathy and understanding, and surprisingly can make your partner speak 60% longer in the conversation, having them engaged. But make sure, there's one more thing that you need to be sure of, but make sure that you don't do it too fast like this, that's bobbleheading. We don't want that, because if someone is talking to you and you bobblehead, that means like, please be quicker, I don't have much time, just like you're waiting for them to shut up. That's really disrespectful, we don't want that. And the third one is head tilt. Head tilt is a universal cue to show empathy. Bad news are received, scientifically speaking, bad news are received better while delivering with a head tilt. So head tilt. You know that. Leaning in. Leaning in during the conversation is one of efficient cues to show interest and make your partner feel appreciated to be talking to you. The fifth one is light touches and appropriate touches on shoulders. It's very warm, it creates friendly atmosphere, but don't overdo it, okay? Now, but there are also one group of people, maybe you are one of them, and if you feel like you're the smartest in the room, maybe if you're not, but you know you're skillful enough to lead the group and come up with awesome ideas, and you know that you've got all what it takes to success, but people won't be taking you serious and hesitate to rely on you. And I got you guys. Here are 5 cues, power cues, that instantly boost up your confidence if you try them. First one is simple hand gesture, which is like this. Maybe this is one of my favorite because it gives us so much confidence and signals the other people that you know what you're doing. And the second one is maximizing the distance between your earlobe and your shoulder. This is one of the fascinating cues. You know what's fascinating about them, that there is a direct correlation between the distance from your earlobe and your shoulders and how confident you look to other people. And what's very amazing, wonderful about these power cues is that not only do they make you seem more confident to other people, but they actually make you feel more confident, like yourself in social settings. Palm flash, open hands and gestures is very, 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 very important while giving a speech like this one, because if your hands are not visible to your audience, it makes your audience uncomfortable and distracted. For example, if I were to hold my hands like this, you would go like, what's he doing back there? Where are his hands? Is he holding something? And just like that, your brain gets distracted. But the moment I bring my hands front, you will go like, oh, God bless him. Because it gives like relief to you, and you will get on to listening to me. Hand gestures, using a good amount of hand gestures can make you trustworthy, because when you are lying, it's very difficult to use hand gestures. For example, try this for me. Everybody, try this for me. Say 5 while holding out 3. 5. 5. Yes. While holding out 3. I know that it's difficult, right? And slower, because your brain has to do these 2 actions separately. That's why it takes time and it's hard. That's why liars don't usually use many hand gestures. That's how you can identify liars. Flax slit. Flax slit is just like squinting your eyes a bit just to show interest. But however, like if you're doing a presentation and you notice that someone in your audience flax their lid, that also can express skepticism. And that's the exact moment you need to stop and address your audience and ask like, any questions? Are we okay? How do you feel about it? Because just by that, you can remove out that skepticism from your audience. Intentional pauses with intentional use. So that can help you emphasize your words and help you give some just amount of time and space for your audience to reflect and think about what you just said to them. For instance, like you can clearly see the difference with this example. If I were to say, we have a serious topic to talk about, versus we have a serious topic to talk about, which one is more powerful? Obviously the second one. That's how powerful the poses are. Next, I want to talk about likability because this is closely related to our topic. I mean, I know everybody here wants to be likable and to be liked by more people, but maybe it's obvious that the easiest way to get more likable is to get yourself to like as many people as possible. There is actually one study that puts forward this idea, and it was that a group of scientists surveyed a school, and they were after identifying the most likable and popular kids. And after creating the list, they looked for what these kids all had in common. And what came out was kind of shocking, because they realized that the students who were liked the most were also the ones who liked the most people. And they had longer lists of classmates they generally admired. So this suggests that maybe if you want to be likable, maybe you should simply learn to like more people. Another fascinating idea, prideful effect. This is a psychological phenomenon that suggests that if you showing imperfections can actually make us more trustworthy, authentic, and relatable. And there is, again, two wonderful experiments done to prove this effect, to prove this idea. In the first experiment, it was a blender commercial. There was a woman and she blended, made fruit juice perfectly. She opened the blender and she put fruit into it and she blended and she poured the juice into a glass and she finished all with the final slogan. And it went smoothly. Everything was fine. In the second version, everything was exactly the same. The same woman, the same script, the same machine, the same commercial, the same tone, the same actions, the same everything, except there was one difference. And it was that while pouring the drink into the cup or the glass, she accidentally spilled some juice on the table. And she was slightly smiled and wiped it off and finished it with the final slogan. And people watch both versions on the internet, on social media, and they actually rated the second version as more likable. And that tiny mistake made her more easy to connect for people and more vulnerable. And the second experiment was involved job candidates. There were 40 job candidates, and each one was interviewed. And there was one interviewee that entered the room, and while being interviewed, she spilled some coffee on the table, and they just oops, sorry, and then turned off and continued with the interview. And later, after all stuff was finished, interviewers rated that candidate as more authentic and relatable than many other. That clearly shows that maybe sometimes showing our imperfections is also a good way to make our connections stronger and more honest. So, if, yes, we are so eager, we're so hungry for looking interesting. We think that charisma is all about being interesting to other people, but I'm here to say that charisma is not about that at all. Charisma is about making the other people feel interesting. That's what charisma is about, and that's the misconception I see in people every day. And if charisma can be learned, and of course it can be learned, then the every conversation is practice. And your next one starts in a few minutes.